had a wonderful conversation with Karen Janiszewski from Music Room Buffalo, and we got to talk music. We got to talk music as a specials teacher. So if you are an atypical teacher, meaning that you teach either art, music, PE, an elective of some sort, this is the episode for you. So you can leverage PD for yourself and advocate for yourself to get the PD that you need that's relevant and applicable to you in your situation, in your classroom, and that will help further your curriculum and your program. So let's get started. Hi, friend. Are you ready to move into a leadership position? Do you have interests and ambitions that you want to pursue, but feel like you don't know how to take that next step? Maybe you want to start your own coaching or consulting agency. I'm Mel, and I help educators define their career path through correct mindset, knowing your options, and getting prepared for your career transition. I will show you how to level up your leadership skills, share your expertise in a new way, create impact on a larger scale, and put your leadership in motion. As an educator for over 20 years, I started to feel underused and like I had more to give. I knew when the time had come for me to leave the classroom and affect change on a larger level. Now, I'm ready to help you determine where your talents and skills mesh with your passions and interests. Put your leadership in motion and move into that next phase of your educational career journey. Let me help you define your career path by having the right mindset, knowing your options, and getting prepared for that next leadership position. So power up and put your leadership in motion. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Mel Vandevort. And today I have a little different spin on my guest. I've not had anyone from like the specials classes before, but today I have Karen Janiszewski. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you absolutely did. Thank you.
She's coming from Buffalo, New York, and she just said that it's not snowing, but it still could, which is crazy to me because we're here in Missouri and it's finally almost 80 and we have pollen everywhere.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure you're jealous because between the goose poop all over my car from my apartment complex and the pollen all over my car, it's pretty messy looking. So,
oh goodness,
it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. But anyway, welcome to the show. I'm super excited to have you on here because I love music, and I don't remember how much we talked about this when we did our discovery call, but I kind of am a little bit into music. I'm on the praise team at church and I play the piano, and my boyfriend's trying to teach me guitar and bass, and I'm not doing so great at it, but we won't tell him that.
That's okay. Just the fact that you're learning piano first is always a big help, actually. I tell that to my students all the time.
Oh, no, I've played piano since I was in second grade, so I'm pretty good at, piano's my thing.
Very good. Well, that's definitely something we have in common. Piano is my main instrument. So, anyways, I'm from, Buffalo, New York. It might snow tonight, but what I basically do is I own a music studio. I am actually no longer in the schools. I was at the beginning of my career, where I actually had a K through 8 private school music position. It was a 0.4 position, but I'm pretty sure I was in that building longer than anybody else in that building.
Yeah.
My responsibilities included writing and directing 2 seasonal musicals, like one for the holidays, usually based on the nativity story in some way, and then another one that was more spring and happy music themed. And then I was also on the director's board for our major school musical, which usually took place in mid-March. I did music direction. We had to have a team of people, usually about 6 people, to do it. So luckily that wasn't like solely my responsibility for that third musical, but we did make a big deal out of it. I would say that musical is the thing that I miss about that position the most. But I did K through 8 general. I did talent show. I did 1 chorus and then 2 choruses. One was a glee club. That was a lot of fun. And various other little responsibilities that would pop up throughout the school year. It was a very, very busy position. But I was lucky enough to get the students very enthralled with music, working on their skills, outdoing themselves each year. And by the time that I was in my last year at that school, we had some pretty amazing talent and a few students that went on to do amazing things after grade 8 and after high school. Even it was a very busy position, but it, like any private school position, unfortunately, you have to have supplemental income to keep it going.
Right.
So I also worked in a music studio 3 or 4 days a week, depending on the year, I guess, and that helped a lot. But something kind of funny happened after a little bit of teaching. I was actually let go, and I was not given a reason why. And I'm not sure. It was a new principal that year. Things happen, and it's in your contract that it may not be renewed. Fortunately, I had the other position, and it was funny how it worked out, because the week before that I found out about that, I was offered to take over ownership of that studio. And I wasn't sure at first. I was like, I don't know much about running a business. I see how this business works, but that's about all I know.
Right.
And I sat down with the owner. We talked it out. We crunched some numbers, and I was like, you know what? I think I can make this work. And that was 1 week before I found out about my position at the school. So I do believe that things happen for a reason.
Right, right.
So I've been there for a little over 10 years now, growing the business, growing, of course, my own students, growing a staff, helping them grow their student clientele as well. And we have performances. It's a wonderful program, and there's retail, and there's rentals, and there's repairs and stuff. We try to do it all. We're like your neighborhood music store, but
right.
the focus being on education. But then COVID hit, of course, and that tends to change things, right? So I became very unsure about the future of this business. I was very worried. We didn't go under. We were safe throughout that whole time, thanks to a very generous landlord who didn't charge me rent through there. And but I was like, I think there's got to be something more. There's got to be something that I'm missing in my life. There's something more I need to do here. So I looked into health coaching. I was thinking about opening a health coaching business, and I did. And I got no hits. I was like, oh, people are going to need their health during this time of national crisis, world crisis, and we don't want people neglecting their health. So how can I help? I took a lot of business training, a lot of business coaching, which anybody who's looking to branch out of standard teaching and do something more, I recommend find some business coaching that's going to work with what your passion is and what you're looking to do. And I did. And I learned a lot about the technology behind online coaching, behind digital marketing, and everything in between. And they kept saying, find your niche, find the audience who's actually calling out to you.
Yes.
So I kept niching down. I was like, you know what? I think I'm meant to help teachers. There are so many students of teachers that I teach lessons to each week. This is kind of a funny thing. My mother's a retired teacher. One of my best friends is a teacher. Something was pointing me in that direction. So I made sure to keep my eyes open as to what was happening during from 2020 onward to present, really. And I was like, okay, I need to help this population. And that didn't seem to work either with health coaching. So I kept hearing this little voice in the back of my head, stick with what you know, stick with what you know. And I know how to teach music. And I've been doing that for a very, very long time now. I started when I was very young teaching lessons. I was a teenager. I couldn't even drive yet, and I was teaching lessons.
Wow.
So I know. I think now I know I was too young, but you don't know then. It's just a cool job when you're 15. So
if you can do it at 15, if you can teach at 15, my boyfriend taught when he was in high school. So you're never too young to teach somebody else something if you're good at it.
That's true. You're right. And that's probably why it all worked out in the end. Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyhow, I started niching down a little bit more to focusing on music teachers specifically. And then I worried that my audience was going to be too small, which is silly now looking at that. But I was like, you know what? I wonder if I could just help them more with the music related things. I've got all of these systems, all of these ways that I teach these sometimes strange requests that these students ask of me, like creating a song. How do I make somebody cry when I perform? How can I do that? Just all those interesting questions that makes me really think. And then I start putting together a process. I teach them the process. They have some wild success, and I want to do it again. So that's where Up-Level You Music came from. That's where that project began, and it turned into, right now I have 6 courses that are geared towards teachers, a 7th course that is geared towards students, incoming college students, people who need to audition, basically,
Mm-hmm.
and a whole list of a few more dozen courses to come over the years. Oh, that's where that
Wow.
came from. Yeah.
Wow. That is a busy life and a full basket of things. Definitely. Definitely. But that's awesome. I love it. And, like I said, I love music. And I actually, I had piano teachers when I was younger and stuff, but no one really ever taught me to play by chord. And so I
Mm.
wanted to learn how to do that. So I had to do it online. I found on YouTube how to do it and taught myself because I wanted to be on the praise team. Online learning is always a great way to go, especially now because kids are busy and they only have certain amounts of time. And sometimes those times don't mesh with the availability of someone to teach them. And so you kind of have to do it on your own sometimes. And
That's
you've got,
absolutely correct.
if you
Yeah.
have things online, that's awesome. That's awesome. So
Hmm.
let's jump into today's content. We are going to talk today about being an advocate for yourself for professional development, especially when you are the specials teacher, music, art, PE, those things, because sometimes we forget that we need to include you in the professional development, or the professional development is geared in a way that is not relevant to you. It's not applicable to your situation. So let's talk about that a little bit. And I'm just going to let you go with it.
Sure, thank you. So that is absolutely correct. A lot of times, administrators will think of all these interesting workshops and sessions and guest speakers, and they probably are fantastic for the majority of the school, and the majority of the
Mhm.
staff and faculty will get so much out of that well thought out presenter and selection of presenter, I should say. But will each and every position gain the same amount of intrinsic value from that? Perhaps not. Is what they're saying going to gel with the way that every teacher needs to teach? Perhaps
Mhm.
not. So I do believe that teachers should be encouraged to seek out, at least maybe for part of the year's requirements for their certification, a certain amount of time, whether it's online or in person or a convention. There's so many good conventions out there for the different
Yes.
special areas. And I've been to a few, and the takeaways are just amazing.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
at least what they're getting during those experiences is something relevant, is something that they can use in their day to day in their classroom. And also, every teacher is encouraged to find out what their strengths are and capitalize on them, and what their weaknesses are, and fill in the gaps in their instruction. The things that they perceive are not the skills that they have currently, but wish they could improve on. So I'll use teaching with musicality and expression as an example. That I have never had a teacher. I've had some fantastic music teachers between like my piano lessons to my college professors. I've had some amazing teachers in instruction, but
Mhm.
nobody ever taught me how to develop a phrase. Nobody ever told me how to play with that passion and soul and make a listener cry.
Right.
Something that,
Right.
as a teacher, I'm asked to do. Now, I teach privately for the most part, but to those to teachers that have to teach this to groups, the high school ensemble teachers who have families, colleagues, administrators that are like, I want to have this song make me cry. Do they have
Mhm.
that emotional content that I'm looking for? Maybe not, because it can be a very intimidating thing to teach. And that's just one example out of so many things that any standard music teacher could be like, well, I'd like to do this. I'd love to do this. I have no time to do this. I need a system for this because I don't think if I tried to teach this, it would make sense. I
Right.
don't know how to use the correct semantics or teaching prompts to get this behavior to happen in my group. There's Any music teacher would probably be able to tell you those things. And it's unfortunate, and I don't blame their training for it, and I don't blame the colleges for it. It's just such a demanding position
Mhm.
that there's no way to teach that in 4 years if you only have a bachelor's, or 6 with a master's, or 8 if you have two. There's no way to get it all in there.
But to
And
put your
sometimes,
mind at ease, you don't really learn how to be a teacher in college either.
nope.
So even though you didn't learn that, you're not alone, because I didn't learn how to be a teacher in college. And I made a ton of lesson plans for lessons that I never used in my life. I didn't even
Me too.
teach the grade level that I made the lesson plans for.
Yeah.
So it really was not a great use of my time when I could have been learning how to backward plan and connect my lessons to the standards rather than creating thematic units that did nothing for me. So
Yeah. And that's unfortunate, but how do you know? And then there's probably
exactly.
plenty of teachers out there that are like, oh yeah, it was all relevant because I got exactly what I was hoping to, but not everybody's that lucky, sadly.
Right, right. Very
Yeah,
few are that lucky.
right. So how do we fill in those gaps? Having those opportunities out there that you can just have a site or a couple of sites out there for you to just kind of scroll through and find, oh, this course is exactly what I need. Oh, look, I can take it and begin it whenever I need. I don't have to clear my schedule. I don't have to get a sub. I can stay in my pajamas in bed. Like, who
Right,
wouldn't want
right.
that for their professional development? And at this time, in many states, at least with my program with Uplevel You Music, you can get that PD credit that you need
Mm-hmm.
with just a couple simple steps once you're completed. So
Right, right.
I'm hoping other subjects are lucky enough to be able to find these types of resources out there. But at least for music, I'm helping it become a reality for all the music teachers out there.
So as a music teacher or someone who's been in education, yours was private education, but it's the same for public education. How, as a music teacher, do you advocate for yourself for the professional development that you need, the professional learning?
So when I was teaching in the private school, none of it was relevant. 0 hours were relevant. We were lucky enough to have staff meetings be topic focused. So maybe a anecdote here and there was something that I could use. But to what my day to day was, there was no help, no support, and I had no idea how to find it as a young teacher. Since then, when a challenge was coming my way, I just take to the internet. I would go to some textbooks, look a couple things up, and I would just figure it out myself. And it often took a lot of time, especially in the beginning. That was the
Yes.
only thing I had.
And I did that too as a classroom
Mm-hmm.
teacher. If there was something that I knew I needed to be doing, but I didn't know how and had never been taught or wasn't receiving the professional development that I needed in that area, I was the same way. I did not know how to backward plan and use data very well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I took one course in college that did nothing for me because it was called test and measurements, and it like introduced us a little bit, but didn't really tell us
Oh.
how to use it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was the same way. I would look for things. That's how I became a podcaster, because podcasting was my way. Listening to podcasts was the way that I was able to grow myself in whatever area that I wanted to grow. And let me just put a little plug in for the podcasters out there. I needed to strengthen my voice because I was singing this weekend. The pollen is terrible. I've been really tired because I've been working late hours on my book, and my vocal cords are they're struggling right now. So I went on a podcast. I looked on Spotify and I found a podcast for vocal warm-ups, and
Mm-hmm.
you can find anything, guys. Get out there and search for it. That is how
Yes.
you can grow yourself if you know you need to.
Yes, absolutely. There's a wealth of knowledge as long as you know where to look. And then you
Yes.
can make a nice list of bookmarks of those favorite resources so that you can keep coming back to them when the need arises. For sure. Good job with the vocal warm-ups, though. Like, it's good that you're so self-aware that you knew that you needed to do some sort of intervention there. That is so important. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Well, as I get older, my voice, it just is not doing what I want it to do and what it used to do. And so I definitely need to do some strengthening exercises to, even my breathing was wonky when I was
Oh,
doing
yeah.
it yesterday. And he was,
Right.
or I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, but he was having us do the lip thing, the lip roll, twirl, whatever. I don't even know what it's called. Yes, that
It's
there.
probably that. Yeah,
And I'm like,
right.
I was running out of air and I couldn't even do it the entire length of
Yeah.
time that he was doing it. I'm like, what in the world? So I definitely need to work on that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good for you for knowing that you needed something specific and what to look up. Yeah, gosh, that's good. Very, very good.
So if you're speaking as a teacher to the administration, what would you say to them as a teacher who needs that professional development, a specials teacher, art, PE, music? What would you say to your administrator or to the administrators out there or the aspiring administrators who are going to eventually move into an administration position, what would you say to them as someone who's seeking, just hungry for that professional development?
Sure. What I would say is I would actually immediately link it to the standards. I would say, so and so, according to the standards here, I'm supposed to be doing this, this, and this in my classroom. And I'm not really sure how to go about it. What kind of resources can you suggest? Are there any opportunities for me to go to a workshop? Are there any opportunities online so that it doesn't disrupt the flow here of the schedule? What could you recommend?
Yeah,
Bring it to the
absolutely.
standard so that we know that the skill has to be accountable somewhere.
Right.
I think that's a good, smart way to go first.
And as a former administrator, I would say also go to your administrator prepared. Say, I
Mhm.
found this. I would like to do this because I did that as a teacher all the time. I would
Mhm.
find professional development opportunities and I would take it to my administrator and present it to them and say, this is what I would like to do. And this is why. Don't just go to them with this request without a why. Tying it back to those standards is the
Yes.
perfect way to do that, or how you can use it, not just a one and done, because those one and dones
Mhm.
are not something that I, as an administrator, would want to spend money on. But if you can show me how it can further your program for a long time, then I'm more willing as an administrator to give you the money for something like that.
Absolutely. And in forming everything for Uplevel U Music, I spent a lot of time going over the Learning Forward standards. And one thing that they seem to, for obvious reasons, is very important is the implementation end of things. How can what you learn be implemented? How can you
Mm-hmm.
follow up on that? How can you know that teachers are implementing it and the professional development content and implementing it in a successful way? So, of course, they're looking for you to have follow-up opportunities, which are in up-level
Mm-hmm.
use courses. But I would say that would be super important as well for an administrator to see how it could be implemented to strengthen the program, as you said.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I'm speaking to the administrators or aspiring administrators right now. You need to be in every classroom all the time. You are not just going into the instructional or the academic instructional classrooms. You need to be in all your classrooms all the time to see what's happening, because you don't want to ignore the wonderful programs we have for our specials teachers. I am a music advocate. I am definitely big for PE because we have some kids who need some physical activity in their life. And
Hmm.
I know some amazing artists who really need that art program so that they can grow their skill. And
Yes.
I want to end with a story, and then I'm going to let you give us your contact information. When I was working in my last job, we had an elective. I mean, I'm going to do air quotes because it was only on Fridays. It was only for like the upper academy, seventh and eighth grade. I think I'm having a little trouble remembering now. It's funny because I did it a few years ago, but I wanted to do a music program for them because we didn't have music. They had art, they had PE, but there was no music. And so I was going to do this. And this is how much we are missing the mark for our students. I was playing and the girls were standing behind me because the boys didn't want to participate, of course. And I had one little girl ask me why there was a hashtag on my music because she
Oh.
didn't even know what the music symbol stood for. She equated it to texting or putting your stuff on social media because she didn't realize that was a music signature. And so we have to make sure that these programs are surviving, and we have to make sure that our teachers are taken care of.
Yes, I agree. And I think the NAFME standards that are out there that are kind of like the gold standard of music standards nationally right now, they are focusing on literacy, on making sure that students are understanding music as a language so that something like that doesn't happen.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
for sure. Oh, good. Yes,
Yes,
I agree.
yes, yes.
Mhm.
It has been wonderful having you on the show, Karen. Give us your contact information. If they want to get in contact with you, what is the best route for them to take?
Sure. Well, the first thing that I would recommend that our listeners here do is check out the website. So it's www.musicroombuffalo, all one word, .com/uplevel, UPLEVEL hyphen UY, or actually not YOU, it's U as in the letter U, hyphen music, MUSIC. And that will take you directly, it'll bypass my stores page and it'll take you right to the Uplevel You Music project page.
Okay.
And in there, you'll be able to see not only the music courses that we have, you'll be able to also get into some health and wellness resources too, because I did a lot of work on those things and they are written for teachers. So
yes, wonderful.
Somebody, I'm sure somebody could find them useful.
Exactly.
But my focus is mainly the music courses. There are a few other pages that are in that mix a little bit, and some of it is about how the PD requirements all work, how you be able to get your hours for it. There are still some states that are not on the list because those are still in the works for getting approved on the state level. Some states already have been approved, and I think it's either 24 or 26 states right now where approval is done at the local or district level. So then from there, we have something to help everybody out that's looking to speak with an administrator or look to justify that your time spent on this course is or will be useful for your hours and will meet the requirements. We have course reports. So the course reports go through each of the learning forward standards and how it connects to the relevant NAFME music standards and other basic information about the course that if you had to fill out a form, you'd be able to get that information from that course report. So that is your golden ticket to being like, yes, this course will work. And now others will believe me and see it from my angle because of the way it connects. So all of that is such valuable resources for you out there if you're a music teacher or a music education coordinator looking to find relevant professional development for the teachers that you oversee. If you'd like to reach me directly, you may at Karen, Karen, at musicroombuffalo.com. That would be my direct work email address if you have any questions for me at all. And then as a special incentive for listeners here in this podcast, I have also made up a coupon code for the courses that should be also in the show notes, especially since coupon codes are always a little picky with their capitalization and spacing. But it's an Empowered Educator 15. So this is a special coupon code for the listeners here, and it is a one-time use of 15% off any of the courses on Uplevel You Music.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Definitely.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And for my listeners, you know that I will have all of that information in the show notes. So I know it was probably a little hard to write all of that down, especially if you're commuting, but I will have it in the show notes for you so you won't have any trouble connecting with Karen. Karen, it has been an absolute pleasure. I love talking music. I love thinking about music. And this was one direction that I haven't taken on my show before. So it was great having you on and talking shop a little bit.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And it's great talking about everything that I love. And it's great to make sure that everybody who listens to Empowered Educator is finding what they need as well. So I'm happy to help fill that gap.
Exactly. And that just goes to show you that no matter what you do in education, you have a talent, you have a skill set that you can use outside of the classroom. So you can tap into your potential and you can put that potential in motion and create whatever it is that you want in your life, whether it be a side hustle or now your main hustle. You can do it with what you already have, those skills, those talents, all of that experience that you've developed all of your educational career.
It's so beautiful. Yes, you are so absolutely right. And if you don't feel you have it, find it online because likely it'll be out there somewhere.
Yes. And that was kind of a plug for my new book, Educator to Entrepreneur. If you want to figure out a way to tap into those skills and turn your educational profession into your full-time freelance profession or even a part-time freelance profession, then you can hit me up. I'll have my links in the show notes as well. Karen, thank you so much again. And for the rest of you, I will see you again back here next week, same place, same time. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.